Shalom, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shah Barak Atha, to my brothers, Yahweh Shemal Atha Hashem, Yahweh Shah to my sisters. This is the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge, straight out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under command of General Yohana. And what we do is we teach the blacks, Hispanics, and Native people that they are the Most High's true and only chosen people. And with that comes a responsibility to love each other, to follow these laws, statutes, and commandments, and to never forget our past and what has been done to us. Today is the history class. In the history class, we do just that. We reflect on the past so we could learn from our mistakes, not just that, just learn from history altogether. You know what I'm saying? Learn who we are as a people. Learn, you know what I'm saying, our customs, our cultures. You know what I'm saying? And most importantly, learn who our enemy is. And today we're talking about our people fighting for our enemy, which has been done all throughout history. You know what I'm saying? We have been fighting for our enemy since we've been in this country. You know what I'm saying? We have been fighting for our enemies, even against each other. And that's about as horrible and as evil as it gets. You know what I'm saying? But we're going to start off with Zephaniah 2:1. Matter of fact, let me pop that up in here. If you're on TikTok and you want to see the scriptures, just go over to the YouTube. And YouTube, we under Boston No Cowards. Boston No Cowards is one word. All right. But let me put it up in here. Up in there, Zephaniah 2:1. It's one of the books in the back of the New Testament. I think it's like, back of the Old Testament. I think it's like the third or fourth to the last. It's one of those real small books, you know what I'm saying? But Zephaniah 2:1 says, gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired. The Bible straight up tells us to gather ourselves together. You know what I'm saying? It tells us to love each other. It tells us to join each other. It doesn't tell us to join our enemies. You know what I'm saying? Joining our enemies has always been our issue in life. We've been doing it all throughout history, all throughout the biblical history, all throughout modern day history, even today. Like, we see what's going on in the news. It's a beautiful thing what's going on in the news. Observe it. What's going on in the news is glorious and great. All right? Let me tell you that. Our enemy are at war with each other. This is biblical prophecy. This is World War III about to be kicked off. It's a beautiful thing. Problem is, we got a lot of our people that's in the military right now, and a lot of people rushing to join for some type of honor, respect, and hope of approval from our enemies, and, hopefully get a step up on life. And fighting for our enemy only leads to our death. You know what I'm saying? But this is history class, and we're going to get into a little bit of history, but I'm going to read that scripture from the top again. Gather yourselves together, yea, gather together, O nation, not desired. Who is that nation not desired? Now remember, this is talking to a nation. For one, that's the first thing that you got to notice. The first thing you should notice that it says, O nation. This ain't old world. This ain't everybody. This ain't nations. It's one nation that got to gather themselves together. Mainly because they are not the nation that's desired. They are not desired by anybody. Everybody hates this nation. Blacks, Hispanics, and Natives are the most hated people on this planet. Most hated. That's why we're getting pulled over by the cops and shot down. You don't see that happening with any other nation. You know what I'm saying? When America was at war with Iraq and Iran and the terrorists, you ain't see one Arab get shot by the cops and killed by the cops. And the cops end up walking away. You ain't see that one time. But you do see us happening to us because we're not a nation that is desired. You know what I'm saying? We are not respected. We are not admired. We are the bottom of the barrel right now. And it's mainly because we are not together. And the Most High is telling us to gather together. Yes, gather together. Because that is the answer to a lot of our problems. It's us coming together. You know what I'm saying? But let's get into a little history real quick. We're going to go off some side notes on, you know what I'm saying, up on this real quick. I don't know how good your vision is. But let's start with like one of the first wars in America. No, let's see. Who remembers Crispus Attucks? Who knows who Crispus Attucks is? Crispus Attucks is a shining example on this is Massachusetts too. This is Massachusetts history. Crispus Attucks is a shining example of what not to do. Crispus Attucks decided to go out because Crispus Attucks, he was the son of a slave and a Wampanoag native, right? And he decided to go out with some people and protest the Revolutionary War before it actually kicked off. So they're protesting the British occupancy of this land. So things kick off, and guess who's the first person shot? Guess who's the first fatality of a war that really had nothing to do with him? His people are still slaves on both sides. The Wampanoag and the Negro are still slaves, but you want to protest the occupancy because you got a little bit of liberation. You think that you could go hand in hand with these people like they love you, and you fighting for their causes on their side. You know what I'm saying? And next thing you know, you're the first victim. See, that's why you should not be joining your nation's military. You should not be joining your enemy's fights or causes. You don't do it. It doesn't benefit you, but it is a detriment to you. You know what I'm saying? But we're going to get into this history real quick. And if you got any questions, I repeat, if you have any questions, just type them in the chat. You know what I'm saying? Any questions? Shalom, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shabbarakatah. Going on, Shah. But if you got any questions, just type them on in. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get with it. I know y'all in the YouTube can't see my screen share. I mean, not in the YouTube. Y'all in the TikTok can't see my screen share. So if you want to see it, you go to Facebook or you go to YouTube, look up ISUPK Boston or Boston No Cowards, and it'll pop right up. You know what I'm saying? You'll see exactly what everybody else is seeing, but I'm going to read it out loud anyway. You know what I'm saying? Okay, we're going to talk about a quick synopsis on the British War, Black people being in the British War. We're going to talk about it right here. Then we're going to go into a little bit on in debt. You know what I'm saying? The Revolutionary War. Right here. African Americans, both as slaves and free men, served on both sides of the Revolutionary War. So we was on both sides. We were on the British side and we was on the colony side. And guess what happened? We had to fight each other over two oppressors that did not want to give us freedom. Gary Nash reported that recent research concludes there were about 9,000 Black soldiers who served on the American side. So there was 9,000 of us. Counting the Continental Army and Navy, state militia units, as well as privateers, wagoners in the Army, servants, officers, and spies. We also were spies too. Ray Raphael notes that while thousands did join the Loyalist cause, a far larger number, free as well as slave, tried to further their interests by siding with the Patriots. You know what I'm saying? What was their interest? Their interest was to get free, but guess what? That interest never came true. You know what I'm saying? But let's get to this. Let's get to this other history. This is thoughtco.com. You know what I'm saying? It's a pretty good site. Y'all should check it out. But it's an article by Patty Wigington. I don't know who Patty Wigington is, but this was a good article. We're going to get into it. Throughout American history, from the colonial period onward, people of African descent were played a crucial role in the fight for this country's independence. Like, we put it like this. If we wasn't, look, the scriptures say we're the salt of the earth, right? Black, Hispanics, and natives are literally the salt of the earth. The scripture says that, right? Shalom, Mark. Shalom. The scripture says that we're the salt of the earth. And without the salt, you know what I'm saying, with the world loses savor and all that. So us fighting in the American's army, we played a pivotal role in every war that America been in. So without us being in their military, what would have happened to America? There's a good chance America would not be here. America would have lost every war it's been in. It would not be the superpower that we know it to be today. So now that this third world war is coming, should we join that military? Should we fight for America? Fight for the Ukrainian people? Should we do it? Nah. Because they for sure ain't fighting for us. They ain't fight for those Haitian brothers and sisters that was on the other side of the border, because their land just can't stay stable. So they wanted a little stability, and that's what they got kicked out. They won't let them cross the border. I bet you they'll let some Ukrainians in though. Remember what they did to the Mexican children? Had them locked in cages with foil sheets on. You know what I'm saying? Who knows what type of atrocities would happen to those children? I wouldn't be surprised about all the molestations and rapes that probably happened there. See, the only people that care about our people is the men and sisters of the ISUPK. Nobody else do. That's why I'm on here right now telling you, do not join the military. And I'm telling you it for a specific reason. You know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, let's go to another scripture. Shalom. Young man Quan. Shalom. Shalom, young man Quan. What's popping, huh? We're gonna go to another scripture real quick. We're gonna go to Revelations 18:4. Like, this is an important joint right here. I don't want too far. All right, if you're there with me, read it. I mean, follow along as I read. You know what I'm saying? And this is important. All right. So Revelations chapter 18, verse 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, "Come out of her, my people." See, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to make y'all come up out of America. That don't mean like some people who like to believe that, you know, leaving America itself is to come out of her. No. To come out of her is a spiritual thing. Get your ways and your spirits out of this American dream, out of this, you know what I'm saying, democratic system. Stop thinking that you're American. Stop thinking that this country actually cares about you in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Stop being a politician, thinking that you're going to change things for the better for your people. Stop being a cop thinking that you're going to beat the system from the inside. It's not going to happen. You're going to fall victim to the system. You're going to end up getting marked. You know what I'm saying? We're going to get into the mark because this mark is very important for the times that we're in right now. The mark of the beast is very important, and we're going to explain it. It's not no microchip like many like to believe. No, it's not a microchip. We're going to get into it, though, but let's stick with this right now. Saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins. America has sinned. What do I mean by America has sinned? America has touched the Most High's favorite children, abused it, and did more than what he was supposed to do. You know what I'm saying? They put themselves in the seat of the Most High too, had us worship them like they were gods. That's why you got a white Jesus in every grandmama's home right now. If your grandma don't have a white Jesus, believe me, close your eyes right now. Close your eyes and think of Jesus. 9 times out of 10, you've seen a white man. And that is a worship that we got to get out of. But come out of her. Come out of that military thinking that you're going to come with a way up. Thinking that's a come up. You're going to join the military. Next thing you know, like, you're going to be dead. Like, I seen a video on TikTok of this sister who's actually stationed in Belarus or Poland. I think it was Belarus right now. Stationed right now. You know what I'm saying? She being a typical Judite, you know, still clowning and everything, but she don't want to be there. She admitted it. She don't want to be there. But she enlisted thinking that's going to be something good for her. Now you're about to go to war. It ain't official yet, but you know America got a lot of pressure on it. It just sent like mad money, billions of dollars to aid in on the side of the Ukrainians. Billions of dollars. And y'all Castanedos is still thinking that y'all gonna get reparations. No reparations coming. No. And if you want reparations, it better be in what was taken from us, which is the blood, sweat, and tears. Anything else is not sufficient. It's not sufficient. It won't be accepted. It'll be taken, but it won't be accepted. You know what I'm saying? For you will not be partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Like, you see what's going on right now. You see what these plagues that's coming. You got this COVID. COVID is just a plague too, but we got this war that's coming. You know what's another plague? That fervent heat from the nuclear bomb blast. You know what I'm saying? That fervent heat that's going to have blood's melting. I mean, skin just melting off, just like it melts off like liquid. That's nuclear heat. And that's going to be a plague of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be a plague of the Lord. And you want to be so American so bad as a Black, Hispanic, and Native man. You want to be so American and you want American approval and you just want to be loved. Guess what? You're going to have to feel that heat too. Because you're in the way. Most High got a plan for them and you keep on jumping in the way. Stay out the way. Just stay out the way. It'd be wiser for you to stay out the way. You know what I'm saying? Just stay out the way, and you'll be better off. You know what I'm saying? But you see, Crispus Attucks didn't stay out the way. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these soldiers in the Revolutionary War, they were on the front line. They were basically, they were targets. They were sent out first to see if enemies were around the corner and things. Be careful, man. But let's continue with this history right here. Although the exact numbers are unclear, many African Americans were involved on both sides of the Revolutionary War, fighting each other. I'm saying brave colored artillery man. Only time they gave us any type of sign of respect is when we did something that benefited them. First, if we ain't benefiting them or entertaining them, they don't care. They don't care. The first enslaved Africans arrived in the American colonies in 1619 and were almost immediately put into military service to fight against the indigenous people. That was the first thing they had us do, is fight our brothers. Fight the people that was going through the same hell that we were going through. Like, these people are literally fighting the people that enslaved you, and we are out there fighting them. That is a horrible, horrible thought. And now we're about to join them, help fight something that has nothing to do with us. Whatever's going on between Russia and the Ukraine, that's white on white business. That's white on white crime. That has nothing to do with blacks. You know what I'm saying? Nothing at all. But let's continue. Both free and enslaved black people enlisted in local militias, serving alongside their white neighbors until 1775, when General George Washington took command of the Continental Army. Washington himself, an enslaver from Virginia, saw no need to continue the practice of enlisting black Americans. Like, we need more racism like that. He did not think we were good enough to be in his military, which in turn would save many of our lives. Us not fighting for them is a great thing. It's not a horrible thing. And he didn't want us fighting for him. I don't see what the problem with that is. That's the type of racism that's beneficial for us. Nah, we're not good enough to fight for you. Nah, let us be on the sideline. Let me get this popcorn, sip on a little whiskey, and watch the rockets spread clear. You know, and all the bombs bursting in the air while y'all do it to each other. That's all we should be doing. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. Oh, what's up with my war band? Oh, it's a custom-made joint. A brother in Connecticut made it. It's a beautiful thing, man. Got some stones up in it. Yeah. Some studs. Yeah. My man said he dropped his recruitment last minute because he woke up. That's right, brother. Because that war would not have been beneficial for you. That was a smart thing to do. Now, next thing you know, you got to do is join the Lord's military, your people's military. Your people do have a military. Black, Hispanic, and Native people do have their own military. It's called the ISUPK. You want to fight for somebody, fight for your people. Fight for your people and your people's ideas and agendas. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. Rather than keeping them in the ranks, he released, through General Horatio Gates, an order in July 1775 saying, "You are not to enlist any deserter from the ministerial British Army, nor any stroller, Negro, or vagabond, or person suspected of being an enemy to the liberty of America." Because Lord knows us Negroes are always been considered enemies. They prove it to us every day. They prove that we're enemies every day. They don't care about us. We could fight for them, love them as much as we love our own mama. And they will not care. We will still have to go. Like many of his compatriots, including Thomas Jefferson, Washington did not see the fight for American independence as being relevant to the freedom of enslaved black people. Because we are not American citizens. That's something that we got to realize to this day, that we are not American citizens. Even George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, who I believe is on that Constitution, his signature is on it, did not believe that America's independence had anything to do with us Negroes. They did not see that. We was not a thought when they wrote that. When they wrote all men shall be created equal, we weren't in their mind at all. So stop thinking that you're equal now, because you're not. That leaves you with two options because equality isn't real. That leaves you with two options: inferiority or superiority. Which one do you want? If you want inferiority, well, just pick up that American flag and wave it with pride, because that's what you're going to be. If you want superiority and being a free man, you better get up in this ISUPK. You better get up in here as quick as possible. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. In October of that same year, Washington convened a council to reevaluate the order against black soldiers in the military. Now, he thought about it, because at some point they were getting their butts kicked, especially in the Civil War. Ooh, the Union was getting their butt kicked in the Civil War. But let's continue. Washington convened a council to reevaluate the order against black soldiers in the military. The council opted to continue the ban on African American service. So they continued the ban, voting unanimously to reject all slaves, and by a great majority to reject Negroes altogether. We was not allowed in their military, just for a little bit. For a little bit, we wasn't allowed in. That was a beautiful time. We didn't have to fight their wars for a little bit, but unfortunately, that did not happen. I'm going to show you why. Let's get to I think the War of 1812 was there right after that. There's the War of 1812 and the War of 1815, which is basically the same war. While celebrating the bicentennial of the war on, oh yeah, this is the griot. Everybody knows what the griot is. It's a very popular site. They do have some historical articles in it, you know what I'm saying, but they're mostly gossip and lifestyle and beauty. But you know what I'm saying, they do got some history in it. While celebrating the bicentennial of the War of 1812, many historians have paid more attention to the pivotal role African Americans played in the outcome of the conflict. Because technically, without us, they would have lost that too. Black soldiers fought for both sides once again. You know, like Charles Ball, George Roberts, and William Williams are just a few of the Black war heroes who had an impact on shaping American history. It's painful. Afro.com reports, for the United States, the War of 1812 was a second war of independence against the British that birthed emblems of American nationalism, such as the national flag, which was actually sewn by a Black woman. We'll get into that later. The Star-Spangled Banner, Uncle Sam, the national icon. Both for many enslaved Black was the first major pathway to self-determination and freedom. That's what we all believe till this day. That is a big problem right there, because a lot of us today actually believe that this fighting for our enemy is a way that we could get out of this, you know what I'm saying, hell that we're in. We believe that it gives us some status, you know what I'm saying? You become a first lieutenant, a sergeant, a general, that you actually going to amount to something in this country, that you'll have some worth to these people that you love so much. But let me tell you something. A lot of our people go to war for them and come back still slaves, like they did back then. They went to war, they came back in chains. You know what I'm saying? They went to war and they came back to their people being lynched. They went to war, came back, their people, you know what I'm saying, is being oppressed. They came back, they went to war, came back to realize that their people's being shot by police unarmed. You go thinking that something's going to change. But the thing is, it's really selfishness. You're just really hoping something changed with you. not for your people. You really just want it to be for you. You know what I'm saying? That's the hell that we're in. But let's get with it. Thousands of blacks, both free and enslaved, together played a significant role in the outcome of the war. Something officials and historians said should be remembered, as even as the world recognizes the conflict's bicentennial, which began June 18th. Right? Oh yeah, this article is a few years old. So black volunteers in large numbers stepped forward to defend homelands, which paradoxically, if you don't know what paradoxical means, it's like a ironic contradiction. You know what I'm saying? Deprived them of both freedoms for which they fought. Like, we go into their wars, right? Fighting for our enemies' freedoms. We're fighting for our enemies' agendas, thinking that we're going to benefit. No, we don't benefit. We don't benefit at all. None of it benefits us as a people. All we do is just go through the hell that we go through. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue with it. My bad, Slovakia. Black volunteers in large numbers stepped forward to defend homelands, which paradoxically deprived them of both freedoms for which they fought, wrote historian Gerard T. Althoff in his book, Amongst My Best Men, African Americans and the War of 1812. In spite of overt prejudice, discrimination, and hatred, African Americans stepped forward to serve, either in a civilian or a military capacity. So even in the War of 1812, a lot of us were basically civilians fighting their war. Something as if you see what they're doing in the Ukraine, they're giving civilians guns and stuff to fight the war, where they're not trained at all. A lot of the African Americans, a lot of our ancestors actually were that, because we weren't allowed to join the ranks, were actually just civilians with guns. And us being civilians with guns did better than a lot of their trained soldiers, than the majority of their trained soldiers. You know what I'm saying? For enslaved blacks with an eye, you know what I'm saying, with an eye toward freedom, the war offered several options. They could fight for the U.S., run away, and seek freedom among the natives. See, that's what a lot of y'all got messed up too. Let's talk about that real quick. A lot of y'all actually believe that the native brothers and sisters actually enslaved us. But let me tell you something. They took that title as enslaving us to cover up what they really were doing. They were hiding us. They were really hiding us. You think if they wanted to, they just couldn't just come take us back from them? Yeah, they could have. But the truth was that would cause a whole nother problem. They might not make it out, especially if they're individuals. But yeah, a lot of us hid amongst our native brothers and sisters. The same native and brothers and sisters, when we got off the boat, the white man put us to war against them. You know what I'm saying? But we know what it is. He is for sure the devil that the Bible speaks of. You know what I'm saying? Let's get a little more. So I guess they ain't bringing that up. But let's go to the next war then. We could go to the war of 1815, but nah, let's go to the war, the next big war, which was the Civil War. This is in history.com. Black Civil War soldiers. You know what I'm saying? On January 1st, 1863, President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. All persons held as slaves within the United States in rebellion against the United States, it declared, shall be then forward and forever free. Which, if we were truly free, they would give us back our names. They would give us back land. They would give us back everything that was taken from us. But we're not free. We're under their rules, laws, and regulations. It's no different from like if you being a grown adult and you moved into your parents' house. You can't do what you want. You're not free in there. First thing your parents are going to say is my house, my rules. As soon as you do something that they are against, they're going to be like, my house, my rules. You don't like it, get out. Same thing. We're not free here. You know what I'm saying? But let's get with it. More than 1 million enslaved people in the loyal border states and in the Union-occupied parts of Louisiana and Virginia were not affected by this proclamation. It also declared that such persons, African Americans, of course, of suitable condition will be received into the armed service of the United States for the first time. Black soldiers could fight for the U.S. military. But it's funny, we've been fighting for them the whole time. But this is the first time? No, it's the first time they accepted us. And they were willing to train us, and put us amongst their ranks. But we've been fighting for them the whole time. A white man's war. Black soldiers had fought in the Revolutionary War and unofficially in the War of 1812. But state militias had excluded African Americans since 1792. And U.S. Army had never accepted black soldiers. They still don't accept them. They still don't accept us. You see what's happening to these black and Americans, black and Hispanic brothers and sisters in the military. They end up mysteriously dying. Like Lavina Johnson, Vanessa Giles, you know what I'm saying? Just mysteriously gone with no answers. All right, let's continue. The U.S. Army had never accepted black soldiers. The U.S. Navy, on the other hand, was more progressive. The African Americans have been serving as shipboard firemen, stewards, coal heavers, and even boat pilots since 1861. They say boat pilots for a reason. That means we were driving the boat, but we weren't allowed to be called captains. You know what I'm saying? Did you know 16 black soldiers won the Congressional Medal of Honor? See, that's the problem. That's the problem right there. That's the problem. That's our problem as a people right there, looking for for acceptance, for that acceptance. You know what I'm saying? And that is our problem. But we're going to get into something real quick. Bear with me one sec. Bear with me one sec. Sorry, TikTok. I'm going to have to borrow y'all my phone real quick. All right. We're going to go to Revelations 13 and 16. All right. We're going to talk about this mark real quick. Let's start at 15. All right. All right, Revelation 13 and 15. Hopefully you're there. If you got it, cool. Follow along with me. Follow along with me. Give you a little clarification on what this mark of the beast is, because it's very important during these times that you understand it. All right. Well, I should start from the beginning, but now there's a specific point I want to break out. But let me tell you something. As you read 13, you will understand that the beast is a collection of nations. Everybody wants to talk about the mark of the beast, but they don't understand what the beast is. To understand the beast's mark and the beast's image, you got to understand what the beast is. And the beast is actually a collection of nations. You know what I'm saying? A collection of nations that have power, that rule. You know what I'm saying? The whole planet. You know what I'm saying? That's what the beast is. Now, what would be the mark? The mark would be the stamp of approval. That would be the stamp of the approval of the beast. You know what I'm saying? But let's get with it. Let's start with make sure I'm in the right chapter. Revelation chapter 13, verse let's start with 15. Right? And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. Now the beast also had power to give life to the image of the beast, right? It had the power to make somebody believe this and that. You know what I'm saying? The image of the beast. Let me tell you something. The image of the beast is what you may call the fake the fake Jesus Christ. Everybody praises and worships that. You know what I'm saying? All these countries, that is their religion, which is Christianity. That is the image of the beast, Christianity. But let's continue. That the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many or would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. Like, if you're not falling under the rule of this beast, falling under his image, falling under his worship, if you're not worshiping it, if you're not doing everything that, for one, you got to remember, this is talking about nations. So this ain't talking about individuals. It's talking about nations. You know what I'm saying? And if you ain't able to fall under, like Russia did not fall under it. They did not fall into submission. Russia did not submit. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. Verse 16. And he causes all, both small and great. Now it's causing all, both small and great. What are you talking about, small and great? Now this could even be brought up all the way up to small countries to even great countries. All, small and great, even to the great individuals of those countries to the smallest individuals of those countries. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue. Rich and poor. Rich countries, poor countries. Rich man, poor man. Free and bond. Free countries, bond countries. Free man, bond man. To receive the mark in their right hand. What does it mean? The mark, remember, the mark is the approval of this beast. It's an approval. And it's put in your hand. That means the work that you are doing with your hands, they approve of. So when you join that U.S. military, they are approving of your work that you are about to do with your hands. So you join that military, you are receiving the mark of the beast. You join that Christian church, you are receiving the mark of the beast. You sell drugs to your people, you are receiving the mark of the beast. You doing what this beast wants you to do, you got that mark right in your right hand. You got that mark right in your right hand. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue. Or in their forehead. What do it mean in their forehead? Remember, the mark is an approval, a stamp of approval. So what stamp of approval? Why would they stamp your forehead for a stamp of approval? Because it's your thoughts. It's your thoughts. If you're thinking about, you know what I'm saying, making an OnlyFans page, you're thinking about leaving your husband, if you're thinking about infiltrating a country that the world don't want you to infiltrate, if you're thinking about doing anything that against what this beast is telling the whole world to do, you're not approved. But if you do what he told you to do, you're approved. You know what I'm saying? Look at the Cuban Missile Crisis. Cuba became allies with Russia, which is prime land, turf, and everything for Russians. The Russians could set up a military base right under America's nose, which is what America wanted to do with the Ukraine, to set up a military base right under Russia's nose. But no, the mark of the beast has power. NATO has power. The UN has power. You know what I'm saying? But let's continue. And that no man might buy or sell. Look, remember, this is about nations. Us as Black, Hispanic, and Natives, as a nation, we don't have no major resources to buy or sell. But look, depending on if these nations have the mark of the beast, the mark could approve if that nation could buy or sell. What is that telling you? What does that sound like is being done to Russia right now? That is a sanction. That is literally a sanction. The beast is putting sanctions on Russia all over the place to the point that they can't buy or sell nothing on a global scale. The ruble has dropped down to nothing. The ruble is worth nothing. That's the power of the beast. Now, while y'all waiting on a chip or thinking that the vaccine is the mark of the beast or whatever, let me tell you something. You just seen that right there. That's the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast has the power to take the rights to buy or sell from you. Us as Black, we have nothing to sell. Nothing that affects anything on a global market. Right now, banks are tanking in Russia. You know what I'm saying? But let's get back to the history real quick. Let's get back to the history. You know what I'm saying? Let me tap that. Oh, I didn't even finish that verse. Hold on. My bad, Joe. The water. That no man might buy or sell, save that he had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Now, what is the name of the beast? What does that mean? The name of the beast is his reputation, his recognition, his, you know what I'm saying? How may I say it? Like, All right, let me put it in street talk with you, right, real quick. You're in a blood territory, right? You know what I'm saying? And let's pretend the Bloods are the beasts of that land, right? You got Pyru, Damu, all that right there, right? And you come, and two different dudes come down, right? You got a dude with a blue bandana, rocking blue from head to toe. How much moves you be able to think that he's gonna rock? He's gonna be able to make in that blood territory. How many moves you think he can make? He probably won't even be able to make it out of there. But if he's wearing the name and repping that 5, if he's garnering that reputation, you know what I'm saying? If he has that red mark on him, that red flag, what moves he be able to do? He'd be able to move comfortably. He'd be able to do what he wants. Because he's part of that reputation. He's part of that click up. Russia's not part of that click up. So Russia can't make moves. But you joining the military, getting that mark on your hand and your forehead, that's the mark of the beast right there. Hopefully I cleared something up for y'all. If y'all got questions, don't be scared to ask, man. Don't be scared to ask. But let's get with it. After the Civil War broke out, abolitionists such as Frederick Douglass argued that the enlistment of black soldiers would help the North win the war and would be a huge step in the fight for equal rights. Yeah, we see how well that did. How well that panned out for us. Somebody go ask Frederick Douglass how well that panned out for us. Our people die in their wars and we still ain't get equal rights, which don't exist. Equal rights don't exist. That one makes it even worse. Once let the black man get upon his person the brass letters. So I don't know if you know about the brass letter, but that's like basically the buttons back then were made of brass. It's like the reputation of you being in the military, right? If once a black man gets that, let's see what he has to say. Let him get an eagle on his button and a musket on his shoulder and bullets in his pockets, Douglass said, and there is no power on earth which can deny that he has earned the right to citizenship. Wow. Isn't that beautiful, y'all? There's not a power on this earth that can deny it. But let me tell you something. It's being denied to this day. It's being denied to this day. So I guess there is a power that could deny it. There is a power on this earth that can deny it. However, this is just what President Lincoln was afraid of. He worried that arming African Americans, particularly former or escaped slaves, would push the loyal border states to secede. This, in turn, would make it almost impossible for the Union to win the war. See, Lincoln wasn't thinking too bad. He was thinking if you bring slaves, they're slaves. They're going to fight for master. The Second Confiscation and Militia Act of 1862. However, after 2 grueling years of war, President Lincoln began to reconsider his position on black soldiers. The war did not appear to be anywhere near an end, and the Union Army badly needed soldiers. White volunteers were dwindling in numbers, and African Americans were more eager to fight than ever. So let me bust that down very simple for y'all, all right? Let me make it clear for y'all. The Union was getting his butt kicked. So Lincoln was like, oh crap, nobody's volunteering. The South is about this close to winning. I need more soldiers. I don't want these black dudes up in here, but I really got no choice. So he lets us on in. He lets us on in. But let's continue. Right? The war did not appear to be anywhere near an end. Oh, I already read that. The Second Confiscation and Militia Act of July 17th, 1862, was the first step toward the enlistment of African Americans in the Union Army. It did not explicitly invite black people to join the fight, but it did authorize the president to employ as many people of African descent as he may deem necessary and proper for the suppression of this rebellion, in such manner as he may judge best for the public's welfare. So that gave him the right to, have us join. Some black people took this as their cue to begin forming infantry units of their own. African Americans from New Orleans formed 3 National Guard units: the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Louisiana Native Guard. These became the 73rd, 74th, and 75th United States Colored Infantry. The 1st Canvas Colored Infantry, later the 79th Colored Infantry, fought in the October 1862 skirmish at Island Mound, Missouri, and the 1st South Carolina Infantry, African descent, later the 33rd United States Colored Infantry, went on its first expedition in November 1862. These unofficial regiments were officially mustered into service in January 1963. So they weren't even official till after they showed what they were worth. You know what I'm saying? They had to put in some work to show what they were worth before they even were official. Now, this one is close to Massachusetts, the 54th Regiment, the very famous Civil War regiment. That's what the what was that movie? Denzel Washington was in it. About black military men back in the 80s. I forgot the name of that movie. If y'all know the name, type it on in. But there was a movie in the 80s about the 54th Regiment. You know what I'm saying? It's a good movie, too. That's the one you see with Denzel Washington getting whipped in the back and just one tear drops. That's what the movie's famous for. But let's get with it. The 54th Massachusetts. Early in February 1863, the abolitionist governor John A. Andrew of Massachusetts issued the Civil War's first official call for black soldiers. More than 1,000 men responded. They formed the 54th Massachusetts Infantry Regiment, the first black regiment to be raised in the North. Many of the 54th soldiers did not even come from Massachusetts. 1/4 came from slave states, and some came from as far away as Canada and the Caribbean. A lot of you ADOS cats out there. I'm sorry, I got a certain disdain for ADOS because ADOS is literally being ran by a Jewish girl. Literally being ran by a Jewish girl who wants to cause division between Negroes in America and every other Negro on this planet. It's called the American Descendants of Slavery. So if you're Caribbean, you're not a part of it. If you're Hispanic, you're not a part of it. If you're Native, you're not a part of it. It's only for those who descended from slavery that's in America, which is disgusting. But as you can see, the brothers in the Caribbean actually was with us from the beginning too. But that's something ADOS don't want to talk about, because they are being led by a Jewish woman who just happens to have a black mother, and they hang on her word. But that's more division right there. You know what I'm saying? But let's get with it. Okay. All right, there it is. To lead the 54th Massachusetts, Governor Andrew chose a young white officer named Robert Gould Shaw. You know what I'm saying? So you couldn't even lead our own units. On July 18th, 1863, the 54th Massachusetts stormed Fort Wagner, which guarded the port of Charleston in South Carolina. It was the first time in the Civil War that black troops led any infantry attack. Unfortunately, the 600 men of the 54th were outgunned, outnumbered. 1,700 Confederate soldiers waited inside the fort, ready for battle. Almost half of the charging Union soldiers, including Colonel Shaw, were killed. Confederate threats. You know what I'm saying? Let's drop that real quick. Hold on. And y'all see that. These brothers went to war. They were excited. They thought they were going to win, but, well, they did win, but at the same time, they died. A lot of brothers died. Over half of those numbers died. You know what I'm saying? But let's get with it. Let's get Proverbs 11 and 21. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. My bad. Give y'all a second to get there. Well, I spelled proverb. I abbreviated proverb. Wow. Don't pay attention to that. All right. But we're going to read it, all right? Proverbs chapter 11, verse 21. Though hand join in hand. What does that mean, though hand join in hand? What does that mean? Let me tell you something. Though hand join in hand, though you are holding hands with somebody that you should not be holding hands to, though hand join in hands, right? Hands are locked together. However you hold hands, so be it. Though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished. Though hand join in hand, you might be a good person, good-hearted. You believe everybody should come together and love each other. You know what I'm saying? You believe that everybody has the right to change. You believe love is love. But guess what? You're holding hands with the wicked. Remember, this is bigger than individuals. But you holding hands with the wicked, which is your enemy, which is the same people that oppress you, day by day. You're holding hands with them, right? You're holding hands with the wicked. They shall not go unpunished. What does that mean? Holding hands with somebody that is going to get punished. Remember the last verse I read in Revelation, what it was talking about, the 18:4 verse. It wants you to come out of her. It wants you to stop holding her hands, so you won't be partakers of his sins. What's partakers of his sins? So you won't be getting the punishment along with them. So you won't be partakers of its plagues. You holding hands with this enemy by joining its military, joining its political system, joining its civil workers, you know what I'm saying, the police department and all that. You think that you are being a good person. I understand. But the Most High has something special for America. The Most High got something special for Great Britain, France. You know what I'm saying? Something special for all the lands of our oppressors that we fight for. The Most High has something special for them. But you holding their hand, you think the Most High going like, hold on, let me try to get around? No, you're going to have to catch that too. You're going to have to catch that heat along with your enemy. All right, so let me roll it back a little bit. Though hand joint in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. The Most High is going to rip your hand away from them. And if you still refuse, you still hold on too tight, well, you're going to have to catch that. But you see this COVID was the Most High trying to rip our hands, but we ain't listen. We ain't listen. We was quarantined for what, about a good 3 months. It would have been a great time. We missed that opportunity. That would have been a great time to come together. 3 months? Been a great time to come together, but nope. What happened to Ahmaud Arbery? Next thing you know, we're looking for white allies. Let me tell you something. There's no such thing as a white ally. White allies don't exist. I'm going to be honest with you. White allies just don't exist. No matter how much you would like them to, they don't. You know what I'm saying? They absolutely don't exist. So don't hand join in hand with your white ally in that military that you are forced to call your brother. Guess what? You're going to have to catch that fervent heat along with your brother. When Putin decides to press that button, because nobody's letting him take over the Ukraine, because America's sending billions of dollars over there. You know, that button's going to get pressed. I'm going to try to get in a chariot. That's my whole position right now. I don't care if I got to be the window washer in the chariot. If I got to sit on the floor, there's no more seats in the chariot. I'll take the floor. Do I need a seatbelt? I don't care. I just want to get up in there, so I won't be catching that heat. Lord knows I do not want to hold hands with them. You know what I'm saying? But let's drop that. Let's get on back with this history. Let's go back to the thing I was at before. Oh, we can still finish reading this, I guess. Confederate threats. In general, the Union was reluctant to use African American troops in combat. This was partly due to racism, of course. There were many Union officers who believed that black soldiers were not as skilled or as brave as white soldiers were. By this logic, they thought that African Americans were better suited for jobs as carpenters, cooks, guards, scouts, and teamsters. Black soldiers and their officers were also in grave danger. If they were captured in battle, Confederate President Jefferson Davis called the Emancipation Proclamation the most execrable measure in the history of guilty men. We'll have to look that up. Matter of fact, let's look that up now. Slovakia. Look up that word. Execrable. Extremely bad or unpleasant. Okay, we know what that means now. The most extremely bad or unpleasant measure in the history of guilty man. And promised the black prisoners of war would be enslaved or executed on the spot. So you as a Union soldier fighting your master's war, the opposite side is saying, if you're caught, you're not a prisoner of war, you're either going to be a slave again or you're going to be executed immediately. You got two options at that point, either to leave or to fight harder. What do you think we did? What do you think we did? Hold on. Shalom, sir. Yahbashim, Yahweh Baraka Thus. Shalom, Officer Maccabi. Oh, yeah, I mailed that out today. It should be there at your crib at least by tomorrow or the day after, all right? Just letting you know, sir. But let's get with it. Their white commanders would likewise be punished, even executed, for what the Confederates called inciting servile insurrection. Threats of Union reprisal against Confederate prisoners forced Southern officials to treat black soldiers who had been free before the war somewhat better than they treated black soldiers who were formerly enslaved. But in neither case was the treatment particularly good. Union officials tried to keep their troops out of harm's way as much as possible by keeping most black soldiers away from the front lines. The fight for equal pay. Even as they fought to end slavery in the Confederacy, African American soldiers were fighting against another injustice as well. The U.S. Army paid black soldiers $10 a week, minus a clothing allowance in some cases, while white soldiers got $3 more plus a clothing allowance. In some cases, Congress passed a bill authorizing equal pay for black and white soldiers in 1864. By the time the war ended in 1865, about 180,000 black men had served as soldiers in the U.S. Army. This was about 10% of the total Union fighting force. Most, about 90,000, were former or contraband enslaved people from the Confederate States. So that means about half of them, about half of those black soldiers were slaves. About half of the rest were from the loyal border states, and the rest were free blacks from the North. 40,000 black soldiers died in the war. 40,000. 40,000 of our people died fighting for them. Ain't that crazy? Imagine what our numbers would be today if we had 40,000 more families Because remember, these ain't women. These are 40,000 men. That's 40,000 more families. Who knows how many more children that would be? But we was fighting a cause that had nothing to do with us. Nothing at all. And we suffered for it. Absolutely suffered for it. Well, let's get it with it. Let's get with it. 10,000 in battle and 30,000 from illness and infection. Only 10,000 died in battle. 30,000 died from some type of ill disease that they did not want to treat. I'm telling you, they probably had treatments and did not give it to them. Just like they did during Tuskegee experiment. You know what I'm saying? Just like they did with Tuskegee experiment. Well, let's get with it. Let's get back to these little snippets over here. Go with the Mexican-American War. A number of African Americans in the Army during the Mexican-American War were servants of the officers who received government compensation for their services of their servants or slaves. So we were even still slaves, even up to the Mexican-American War. Also, soldiers from the Louisiana Battalion of Free Men of Color participated in this war. African Americans also served on a number of naval vessels during the Mexican-American War, including the USS Treasure and the USS Columbus. That is sad, man. I'm telling you, any black man that joins the military is a complete disgrace to their ancestors, man. A complete disgrace to your people. You're fighting your own brothers just to please your master. That is disgusting. Let's go to the world wars. Let's see what's up with the world wars. When the war broke out, several African Americans joined Allied armies. Most notable, Eugene Bullard and Bob Scalone joined the French Foreign Legion within weeks of the start of the war. Of the 12 African Americans who joined the Legion at the start, only 2 survived the war. So 10 of those brothers died, fighting a war that had nothing to do with us. Let's go to the big boy. The Pittsburgh Courier was one of the most influential African American newspapers of World War II and the source of what came to be called the Double V campaign. A letter to the editor of the paper in 1941 asked why a half American should sacrifice his life in the war and suggest that blacks should seek a double victory. The first V for a victory over our enemies from without, and the second V for a victory over our enemies from within. The idea would become a national cause and eventually extend into a call for action in the factories and services that support the war effort. So in World War II, that's when we started recognizing that we should not be in these wars. But if we're in these wars, we gotta look for 2 victories: a victory from our people from within, and a victory from our people from without. That is disgusting. I'm not even sure I want to read it. I want to read it because integration is a disgusting thing. On July 26, 1948, President S. Truman signed Executive Order 9981, integrating the military and mandating equality of treatment and opportunity. It also made it illegal per military law to make a racist remark. It still happens to this day. Desegregation of the military was not complete for several years, and all black army units persisted well into the Korean War. The last all black unit was not disbanded until 1954. Korean War. Jesse L. Brown became the U.S. Navy's first black aviator in October 1948, and that's something that I can't stand. I mean, there's a lot of things that I can't stand, but there seems to be a lot of pride with these upper echelons of our people. The ones that our enemies look highly upon, the ones that receive some sort of favor from our enemies. They look highly on their first to be black this or first to be black that. That's what integration did. It gave us pride in being the first black to do this and the first black to do that, right? But let me tell you something. Being the first black in something white is not a badge of honor. It's not. It's actually is a sad thing, and it should be a shame to us. I'd rather be the 50 millionth black soldier in a black army than be the first black anything in a white army. I would rather be the 50 millionth black anything in something black than the first black anything in something white. It's disgusting. There's no purpose in that. And it's a shame that we have to take pride in such a thing. It's disgusting. It's grotesque. It's grotesque. It's nothing cool, nothing to smile about. No, but the upper echelon of us do. The upper echelon finds pride in that. My father was the first black graduate of, you know what I'm saying? Like, who cares? Who cares? Is that first black or something white going to give us freedom? Is that first black or something white going to give us our language back? Is that first black or something white going to give us a military, an economic system, our own government? Is that first black or something white going to do anything to benefit our people? And those same people that are like that are the same people that's proud of their last names too. I'm a Johnson. I'm a Smith. I'm a Francois. None of those names are actually yours. I'm a Martinez. No, all those names are slave names. You taking pride in your slave name means you just purposely taking pride in being a slave. And mind you, having our last name proves that we're still slaves anyway. It literally means that we still belong to that family. And it's disgusting. You know what I'm saying? But let's get back to that. Let's finish that up real quick. Oh, my bad. Let's get back to that. It's way down at the bottom, right? He died when his plane was shot down during the Battle of Chosin Reservoir in North Korea. Look at that. First black aviator, and guess what? Your plane was shot down. Now what good is it? Now what good is that? You were a casualty of the war that I'm pretty sure if you had children, you might do. They take pride in that last name Brown and everything. And look, you died fighting for your enemy. So you didn't get that first V. Nope. He was unable to parachute from his crippled F4U Corsair and crash landed successfully. His injuries and damage to his aircraft, so he didn't even die. His injury and damage to his aircraft prevented him from leaving the plane. White squadron mate Thomas Hudner crash landed his F plane near Brown and attempted to extricate Brown, but could not, and Brown died of his injuries. Attempted. The white man attempted to help the black man out. How much effort you think he put into that? And Brown died of his injuries. Hudner was awarded the Medal of Honor for his efforts. Yeah. The U.S. What did Brown get? Nothing. The U.S. Navy honored Brown by naming a frigate after him, a USS Jesse L. Brown. So they named a ship after him. Guess what? Congratulations. It does nothing for Black, Hispanic, and people. It means nothing. And us joining their military is just proof that we only join it for personal gain. And we barely even get that. If he came back home, he would have came back home to Jesse Jack, not Jesse Jack, to Malcolm X being assassinated. He would have came back to Martin Luther King being assassinated. He would have came back to the imprisonment and of his people, the drug epidemic. He would have came back to hell. But let's get with it. The Vietnam War. The Vietnam War saw many great accomplishments by many African Americans, including 20 who received the Medal of Honor for their actions. African Americans were overrepresented in hazardous duties. Know why? Because they wanted us in there. They didn't think we were going to make it through. And combat roles during the conflict, and suffered disproportionately higher casualty rates because we was put out there. We was put out there. And when we come back from these wars, you hear the reports on how much help they were able to get from the VA. Black soldiers barely get any help from the VA. They suffer greatly from PTSD, not just from the war, but from home. You know what I'm saying? And they come back to the same hell that their people's in. They get really no honor. Might get a couple of medals. Hee ha ha. But let's continue. Civil rights leaders protested the disparity during the early years of the war, prompting reforms that were implemented in 1967 and 68, resulting in the casualty rate dropping to slightly higher than the percentage of the total population. Look, man, if you don't see it by now that joining their war is a very disgusting thing, then I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you, man. But I thought this class would be great for the time. You know what I'm saying? War is coming. War is coming for America. The question is, what side are you going to be on? What side you going to lead? You know what I'm saying? Because this is not our war. This is not our fight. You know what I'm saying? We should not be involved in it at all. But I know we got people that's already in it, signed contracts, they can't leave it. But it's a horrible fact that our people feel honored to do such things. You know what I'm saying? Well, let's see something. I'm going to try to 655. Here we go. Here we go. What we suffer from right now, I hate to say what we suffer from because we're not really suffering from it, and it's not something that we're lacking. It's something that we fail to recognize. And what we fail to recognize as a people is that we actually have good leadership and what good leadership is. Right now, the Christian church will egg your kids on to join the military. They'll egg your sons on to do such a thing. But we have good leadership out there. We have good leadership, and that leadership is in the ISUPK. Like there's no shame in being led by a man, especially if you're about to join the military. You should understand that. But I'm being led by Officer Rakab, Captain Kataza, you know what I'm saying? General Katham, Commander General Yohana. You know what I'm saying? I'm being led by great men who would advise me not to join such a military. So that's what I'm doing right now with y'all. I'm trying to be a great brother to y'all and make sure that y'all stay out of that military, man. You know what I'm saying? But this is what y'all got to understand. I ain't going to get into it. Even like back when like what you need to do is understand this, right? We have our own military as Black, Hispanic, and Native people. And you should understand that that's more important than joining your enemy's military. It's not going to end well for you. It's about to get hot in here, and I want you on the cool side. Come sit at the cool table with us, all right? And I want to end the class on that, and I'm going to tell you right now, man, we have the Passover coming up in about a month. More like 6 weeks, but you know what I'm saying? Don't rain on my parade. It's a month from now. The Passover going down in Cocoa Beach, Florida, April 15th. You know what I'm saying? Get your tickets. It's going down. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be there. I have to be there. I want to be there. It's going to be an exciting thing. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be a trooper in this school, if you want to join this military of the Lord, getting all black. Getting all black. Black shoes, black boots, black shirt, black headpiece, black pants. Getting all black. You know what I'm saying? Go through the things I had to go through. Join this brotherhood properly. Don't just sit there in class, learn something, and next thing you know, you're starting your own little group somewhere. Giving us a bad name. You can't really give us a bad name, but you know what I'm saying. And with that, shalom.